We have a lot to accomplish today. I am going to go through all of my memorabilia. You're seeing it all. I brought it all right here. And we're going to talk a little bit about Swedish death cleaning. You may have heard of that. And I'm going to share with you one of my favorite clients of all time and her decluttering journey with her keepsake items. Hi there, welcome to the Peaceful Home and welcome to the Decluttering Challenge. This is another video in the series. You can watch any of them in order, out of order, it doesn't matter. Take the ones that will be helpful, ditch the rest. I will leave the playlist below. Today we're tackling keepsake items, memorabilia, the stuff that we hang on to because it sparks memories, photos and journals and cards and gifts and photos in frames and all of the things that we're holding on to because they spark memories for us. Swedish death cleaning has become more popular. It's from Sweden, so it's just making its way to the US. Have you heard of it? I would love to hear a comment below. I'm very curious. I feel like everybody knows about it, but I recently talked to a couple people that had never heard of it. I recently read Swedish Death Cleaning for Americans. I think the author saw such a huge gap between the way Scandinavians do this and the way Americans do it. And she's trying to kind of bridge that gap without saying one is better than the other. I think she's being very gracious to us. I'm going to read to you a little bit from Christine's book. Let's see if I can pronounce this Swedish word. Dostadning? Someone can correct me. Dostadning is a special idea that comes from Sweden. It's about organizing your belongings and getting rid of what you don't need. But it's more than just cleaning. It's a way to show love to your family. The goal is to simplify things for them after you're gone so they don't have to deal with your clutter. Dostadning itself is a fusion of two Swedish words, do for death and stadning, cleaning. It makes us think about our belongings, our memories, and what we want to leave behind. In Sweden, dostadning is like doing a big cleanup of your whole life, similar to spring cleaning. But in America, we're not very comfortable talking about end-of-life things. Swedes like this because it fits their values, being organized, keeping things simple, and caring for family. It shows their belief about being open and clear about things. In America, it's tough because we focus on being young and healthy, and that makes it hard to talk about getting old and dying. In the US, we strongly emphasize the legal and financial aspects of estate planning, sometimes placing the emotional and practical considerations to the back burner. Even though that's our emphasis, a lot of Americans don't even have a will. So most of us already struggle with the clutter in our homes. And we're just thinking about how to manage our lives. We're not necessarily thinking about what would happen if we died. What would our family have to manage and deal with after we're gone? Now, I promise I'm going to get to decluttering all of my stuff, but I want to bring up one of my favorite clients and one of my favorite videos. It's kind of funny because this video took off. It was my first one to hit 10,000 views and then 50,000, which for me is amazing. I'm a very small channel, but it strongly showed the need for this kind of content. We need help with our stuff. I'm going to link this video below. Take a look at it. It's awesome. You will see us walk through the entire process. Now, unfortunately, one of my best videos of all time is also the worst sound quality ever, and I apologize for that. Carol lived over 3 hours from me, and by the time I got to her place and realized that her swamp cooler was louder than we were, there was nothing I could do. I couldn't just run home and get different equipment. If I'm remembering correctly, Carol had 48 boxes of memorabilia. And I'm talking the good size storage bins. And she narrowed it down to 12. And that was just after a phase 2. She continued to declutter after that. I'm hoping to check in with her soon and do a follow-up video. In that video, you will see how I sit down with the client and actually walk them through the process. Today, I'm going to do it myself with my own stuff. And I'm going to share some of the tips that I share at the end of that video, but I'm going to try to infuse them into this one. And step number 1 is to gather all of your memorabilia in one place. I've talked about the KonMari method of bringing everything that you have in that category all in one spot. So that's what I've done. I had my main bin in the linen closet. I have photos and things that I still need to go through, and empty photo albums that I was planning on filling but haven't, some frames, and oh my goodness, I just realized I think I have some photo boxes too. Let me grab those. So you might have thought that I didn't have much, but I literally forgot about these. They were in my closet. Okay, this is everything. Now, tip number 2 is to start with your current year and work your way back. I'm pretty organized with my current stuff. I keep track of it with my system of paperwork. And normally if I have something for keepsake, it just quickly goes into this bin in the linen closet. But I do have all this extra. So now I'm going back to previous years. I purchased these photo albums. You can see the dust on them because they've been sitting up in my closet, I think since we moved here 7 years ago. They're completely empty. They were a 2-pack at Costco and they were on sale. So I have 4 of these that can be used for photos that are in these boxes, but that would be a separate project. I also have frames. Some of these are from family members. This is Bertha from 1905. I have one here. This is amazing. This is parents and a daughter. This is my great grandparents. I have 8 grandchildren, 2 more on the way, and this is their 6 times great grandparents. That's amazing to me. I love history. I love genealogy. It just fascinates me. And while I don't need 100 photos of, my great grandparents, I love having 1 or 2. So I am planning a photo wall on my staircase, and that is another main project for me. I really encourage you, when you have projects like this, get it on your calendar. Set time aside. If you don't plan for it, they just keep getting pushed off. And I'm at the point where I really want to do this. Here's an awesome photo of me with my mom and my grandma. I love this picture so much. So these photos are getting put aside because they are a project. I've got a little outfit that my firstborn, my only son, wore. And honestly, I don't have any other baby clothes, I don't think. But I love this. And this is just such a beautiful memory for when I became a mother, when I had Caleb. So I am never letting go of this, hanging on to it. Now, for the most part, baby clothes that I have had, I've passed on. So I did have some other clothes of Caleb's, and he now has 3 sons. And when my first grandson was born, I passed some of those things on. And I've done the same with my daughters. I've just kept this one for me. Now I'm going out of order here, but tip number 4 is to pass on as much as possible. That's why I've passed on most of my children's baby clothes. It's time for them to go to my kids. Now, what if your kids don't want them? Well, if they don't want them now, they're not going to want them when you die. So just keep what you want. Stop saving things for future generations. Otherwise, you can pass them on now. Unless you don't have children yet, of course. Then you can wait. Now, here's a box that says Mako. Does anyone remember Mako? It's a very old department store, no longer around. And this is, oh my goodness, like a great, 2 or 3 greats, I'll have to check. 1890, beautiful handkerchief. It's been hand embroidered. It's got a very tiny crocheted edge. And this really should be displayed. And actually, tip number 5 is display rather than store whenever possible. What good are things that are shoved away in an attic or a closet? And we see them once in a while when we go through things, or our kids find them after we die. If they're special to us, they should be displayed in our home. If we have too much to display, we probably need to get rid of some things. I don't need 10 things from my great-great-grandma. I could choose one thing to remember her by. I could see if my children or grandchildren want any of the other things and pass them on. Get things out, let future generations enjoy them, and if they don't want them, don't feel guilt. Donate. I know so many people that would love to purchase a vintage item like this. Well, an antique item at an antique store or a thrift store. This would be an amazing find. Let's stop storing things and letting them collect dust and get things out for people to enjoy. Okay, this is my last daughter. When she graduated, I have her last school book. If you are a homeschooler, or even if you're not, but you're wanting to keep up on photo albums for your kids, I do have a great video about that, about my process for combining memorabilia with my kids' schoolwork. And it was through these notebooks. And I absolutely love doing this, but my daughter's been graduated now for, let's see, 8 years at least. And I'm just down to her last book. I just need to get it done. But we moved here and it was crazy. So this is a project as well. I'm just gonna move all of this stuff over to here because I'm gonna go through this whole bin. If I can keep it from falling over. Oh man, this is so cool. When we moved here to the ranch, we made a list of pros and cons. And then even the cons, which things were changeable and which things weren't. You can see that our pro list was very long, the cons list was tiny, and we ended up crossing off things that actually didn't really matter to us or that could be changed. The one that makes me laugh is on the pro side, no neighbors, and on the con side, no neighbors. Okay, this box I know is photos. All photos. And no, not all photos. I've got some keepsake stuff in here too. Oh my gosh. In fact, I see a letter here from my husband, written the year that we met and started dating. Oh my goodness. So I haven't seen this stuff for a while. I'm excited to read that. These are photos, and these are things that I have set aside, photos that I really love, that I'm considering framing for our photo wall. So these will go with that stuff. This has my grandma's name on it. It's a bunch of clippings and things from her life. I'm looking forward to going through that. And this one says genealogy. It looks like it has a family tree in it and a lot of family photos. So I'm gonna put that aside. There's a yearbook in here. This must be my husband's. Yeah, 1976. And this one looks like it might be a junior high one. I didn't realize this was in here. What we eventually decided with all of our yearbooks, because they're so big and bulky, we each saved our senior year. And those are in his studio with his books, and we got rid of all the rest. So there are some things in here, an old watch of my husband's. I think I had it engraved in the back when our son was born. Some cassettes. Now, again, if I'm leaving all this for my kids to find when we die, what good is that gonna do them? Most likely they're gonna toss this stuff because why are they gonna wanna keep it? I could go and find a cassette player and listen to this and see, is this something that we want to keep? Do we want to put it on a flash drive or a CD or something? Even CDs are outdated. But is it something we really want to keep? And if so, we should have a copy that's a little more modern and accessible. So part of Swedish Death Cleaning is this important enough for me to go through now and make it a part of my life currently? Or am I just like, yeah, I don't really care about it, but maybe my kids will want it? I doubt it. Let's not put that burden on our loved ones. I was afraid this was lost because I really thought I had everything in here. I thought this box was scrapbooking supplies, and I didn't realize I had moved some memorabilia into here. This is something called the Christmas Chronicles. And when my husband and I were dating, he asked me what I wanted for Christmas. And I said something like, I don't know, I want 5 hours of your time or something like that. It's probably in here somewhere. Yes, apparently I chose a random 6 hours of your time. He chose to take those 6 hours and write this book for me. Whatever was on his heart, he wrote about his childhood. He wrote about his schooling, about his family. And this is such a treasure to me. I'm going to put this aside so the two of us can go through it together. Okay, there's actually quite a bit that I need to go through with my husband. So I'm going to put that aside. What I have found to be helpful, especially if you have a more reluctant family member, is make it an event. You know what? I'm going to make your favorite dinner. We are going to set the evening aside and make it fun. Go through your stuff, reminisce, make piles. Sometimes you find yourself, reading a greeting card and going, oh my gosh, I remember this. This is awesome. But I can let it go now, and it can go in the trash. Other times you have cards where someone's just signed their name and you're like, oh, this is nice, but I think I can let it go. Other times there might be something where someone has written, quite a bit that's very meaningful. Then hang on to that. So I'm going to make a huge pile and plan a date night with my husband for us to go through all of this stuff. And just so you know, I will take this very seriously. I don't want this to sit here for another year. I want to do this quickly. So I'm probably going to talk to my husband tonight and make sure that we get something on the calendar in the next 2 weeks. One thing I did do was separate photos from the other types of memorabilia. So all the photos are here, and all the stuff to go through with my husband is in this bin. I opened this and it's all frames. So, oh, my grandparents with my mom. Oh my gosh, these are so awesome. And I'm really excited to get these on my wall. We've lived here for too long without having photos up, and I'm very excited about this project. It always feels a little scary to put things aside and say, I'll do that later. But sometimes it just is what it is. I knew that these smaller photo boxes are all photos of our kids growing up. So my plan with that is to go through a very quick sort, maybe grab a couple out, but for the most part, hand them the box. Pass them all on and let my children decide what they want to do with these photos. I will tell you right now, as you're going through photos, you can get rid of duplicates and bad photos. Do you remember the day of film? And we would hold on to everything. It didn't matter if it was a bad photo or not, but there are photos that are terrible. If you wouldn't want to frame it, don't keep it, just toss it. We don't need every photo to remember things. All this does is clutter up our lives and make us crazy. Now, if you are decluttering with children, I do have a video on dealing with sentimental kids because it is harder. Some children, which if you're a sentimental hoarder, you were probably that way as a child. And there's ways to train our children and help them when they're younger so they're not stuck with too much stuff as adults. I'll link that video below. Now, okay, one thing in here, the rest is photos, but this is 2 baby bonnets. And they were from generations ago. They're very old, this one especially. It's darling. Now, so far I have 8 grandkids and none of them have worn these. I can ask now with the 2 babies that are coming, but if my kids don't want these for their children, then I need to donate them and let someone else enjoy them. Stashing them in a box is not going to add value to my life. Now, here are a few other things This is something I wanted to keep. My mom gave me this when I was first pregnant with our son, and it is very special to me. So I'm holding on to that. If you're keeping large items, for the most part, remember, display rather than store. This is some art that I did. It was a little book that I made for my dad in grade school. Remember when? It's got different memories. Remember when we went to Disneyland and I drew a picture. Remember when we went for a hike and we saw that big rock. I'm looking at the picture. I wonder if it was Yosemite. I'm not sure. I love this. Remember when we got Patty, our dog. So this is so cute. I don't have a lot of stuff from my childhood. And a lot of drawings that we might do, I don't know that they're really important. This one sparks memories. This is amazing. Remember when we slid in the pool at the cabin? That's when the pool was empty and we slid down the snow in saucers. And remember when we played Hot Lava Monster? Hot Lava Monster is a classic. I love this. I've got a newspaper clipping about my midwife. When I had my first home birth with her, she was a lay midwife because it wasn't even legal in California. And then she became one of the first certified midwives in California. And this is interesting. I'm probably going to pass this on to my sister. My grandma started a business. She made these little play tugs for her dog. She had a golden retriever named Tammy, and this was the pet toy, and she eventually designed it for manufacture, created this company, and this is one of the originals still in the bag. So I don't even know that my sisters know that I have this, and I think a couple of them would really enjoy having it. Now this isn't quite as tidy. It's not a before and after. I still right now have the same number of bins. I have like 3 things I'm throwing away, that's it. But I know I will have a ton more when I go through all of this and I go through all the photos. And my goal is to display the photos I have or have them in a photo book. And what I'm doing for current years is just doing like a basic Shutterfly book of the year. And that's keeping it really simple for me. If you have a lot more, please check out Carol's video. I know it will be encouraging to you. But again, inch by inch, life's a cinch. Yard by yard, life is hard. It just takes a little bit every day. Truly, when you bring everything together, and you see how much you have, it makes it easier to go through it because you have a perspective of, do I want all of this? Do I want to store all of this? So here are a couple of tips that I missed. Number 3 is asking the right questions. Now for Carol, her family was evacuated because of fire. They did not lose their home, fortunately, and were able to move back in. But that's when she realized, I have 48 bins that we had to load into cars and trucks and get them out of there. And that's way too much. If you had to evacuate, how much are you willing to take with you? And better yet, if you were to have a fire, what things would you truly miss? What things would be so important to you that you would contact a family member to get copies of photos? The things that are really important. So much of it could go and we wouldn't even notice. And tip number 6, if you're really struggling, take photos. This was very helpful for Carol. She took photos of things that were important to her, but things that she didn't necessarily want to keep or display. So she will always have the photo as a memory, but she was able to get rid of a lot of stuff. I hope this was helpful just as a starting place for going through all your keepsake stuff. It's a job. Most of us put it off until we're pretty overwhelmed. I would love to hear how your decluttering challenge is going. Let me know in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed, please consider that. It's simply a vote for my channel. It's completely free and it just tells YouTube what content you enjoy. Thank you so much for joining me today on The Peaceful Home for this walk down memory lane.